Good evening and welcome back to Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. We are at the KW Granite Club here for the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. I'd like to welcome Danielle Inglis tonight, joining us for this evening's game. Jennifer Jones taking on Susan Froud. What do you think, Danielle?
I think watching any curling at this point is going to be fascinating. I mean, players are having to deal with all kinds of different changes to the season. I know everyone's just grateful to be out there, to be honest. I think obviously Jennifer has the advantage with all of their team's experience, but honestly, Susan can make a lot of shots for her team, and I've seen her stand on her head many times before.
Yeah, I think it's a good test for Susan and her team. It's going to be an interesting matchup out there. I believe she's got Mackenzie Kiemel at third on her team, maybe? Or no, sorry, Maddie Warner. That's who she picked up. That's right. Maddie got to the final of the mixed doubles event last weekend and was a hot free agent for this weekend, it sounds like. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good test. Just wrapping up the draw to the button. A little change in the rules to prevent too many interactions. Rock stays in play. You got to draw as close to the button without crossing the center line or touching the center line, actually. So here in this situation, they can eyeball it. We don't need to record it. All ready to go.
See, getting used to that sheet too. Neither team really finding the center line at this point.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? You got to throw that draw so that you're not risking the crossing the center, because you do that, then you just outright lose, pretty much. So now the challenge is how far do you tease that center line with just trying to make sure you lock up a good draw? Mm-hmm. Adds a little bit more skill to the situation.
It does. Something to mention too, it's interesting because you see Jennifer and her team playing on some pretty great ice conditions with the slams. And so now they're in a curling club setting. So it's always tough saying the ice is an equalizer, but it can be, and especially with teams who spend more time playing in a club setting. And I would argue that Team Froud has spent more time in a club more recently than Jennifer and her team, at least on a competition level.
Of course, just waiting for a scoreboard update here. Seems Hammer is going to go to team. Maybe you can help me with this, Danielle. That appears to be Team Froud.
Team Froud,
with the yellow stone. So Jones will have the hammer in the first end. And Jones is correctly throwing the red stone. So here we go. Game on.
I love it when teams get right into it right off the bat. Always makes it more interesting, especially now that we're watching the game.
So yeah, certainly characteristics of the Jennifer Jones teams over the years. Like to get into it, mix it up, and when you've got Laws and Peterman and now Lisa Weigel in front of you, you've got the team to go out and go toe-to-toe with anyone in the world.
It seemed to be working well with their new lineup so far. 2-0.
2-0 start. Just going to check some of the scoreboards here, try and keep track of what is going on all around us. Coming into this game, Jones is 2-0. Susan Froud is actually 0-2 coming into this. Losses to a couple of just added juniors, and I think one is a junior team. Thea Coburn and Emily Deschennes.
Mm-hmm. She was at the Youth Olympic Games, Winter Olympic Games.
Yeah, very good young player. Was looking at them last season, some of their results, and excited to actually see them tomorrow evening. They'll be playing Jennifer Jones on the stream in a second game for Jones. It should be a fun test for that young team.
I know listening to Caitlin on the Inside Curling podcast too, she was just talking about the difference of them playing here and how much, especially when she was growing up and being able to play against some of the top teams in events like this. And of course, you don't see teams like Jones or Home and Out at these kind of events because they're going for the bigger events. So it's a great chance for some of the younger teams to be able to play these top teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's an opportunity to, just get your feet wet against the top team. You saw Team Steep in the last draw. They went toe-to-toe with Brad Jacobs right down to the end, made Jacobs have to throw his last shot for the win in the last end. So that's something they certainly should be proud of. And, outside of a bit of a miscue that you don't expect Sam to make, he flashed a hit that gave up a steal of 3. They really put in a great effort, and it's great to see that these teams get to play each other once in a while. And I know that's something that the players on tour have been talking about as well. It's really a challenge for them, and they see the issues with spiels struggling to run, and they know that it hurts events when all of the best teams show up to the same spiel too. Like, it's great for the Shorty Jenkins Classic that they get all the best teams, but at the same time, that's just overkill. And in the long run, that actually ends up and can certainly kill spiels when the rest of the teams stop showing up and the top teams are showing up, based on what's good for them right now. And as they should be, they're trying to climb the ladder. They've got Olympic gold medals to chase, world championships to chase. So, they have certain objectives at the same time, too, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we can certainly balance that a little bit by having these teams spread out across the country, play more of these smaller spiels where the Medicine Hats of the world and the Red Deers and the Lloydminsters and, you go into Saskatoon, they have 3 or 4 of the top teams or 2 or 3 of the top teams and not all of them. So that they get some drawing power, but then you get some opportunity for the rest of the teams to still get some opportunities to qualify and reach the playoffs and develop.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, everyone seems to always have that team each year that you end up playing multiple times, more than others, inevitably. But it is nice to get that variation.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's something that I've been proud to work on building in Ontario. The Ontario Curling Tour was where I got to cut my teeth and try and build a development tour, and I know it's definitely lagged over the last few years with other commitments that I've had, and it's been a challenge to do everything I've wanted to do. But the groundwork has been set up where we certainly see a strong development system with the junior tour that was established before I even got started. It's a really great place for competitive curling, and we really see it thrive early in the season with the international teams we do tend to draw to these events.
For sure. And as a player myself, I appreciate that, and I feel like we don't recognize where that all came from originally, and very thankful for those opportunities. Playing in Ontario, we do have so many great events out here that we don't have to travel too far to get to. So
a big part of that is the testament to the curlers too. They gave it a chance, and we ended up building and developing something pretty cool. We continue to see a lot of young players give it a go, and speak of the Deschennes team, for example, the Steep team. A couple more good young teams that I'm certain majority of curling fans have never heard of.
Yeah, and that's it's always fun when you get something fresh. Like, especially, I equate a lot to when you're playing those teams right out of juniors, and you don't know what they're going to be like in the women's. They don't necessarily know what you're going to be like because you haven't played them, and it usually makes for a really interesting game. Dangerous game, but interesting.
Yeah, exactly. You're seeing just the growth and development of the women's game is amazing. it's funny, as the money has sort of equaled itself within the sport. Now you're seeing the quality of play in the women's game increase at the same degree now too.
Yeah, I mean, the money does do something. Like we're obviously not playing for the millions of bucks here.
The
Um,
tens is, or the hundreds is.
exactly, but I mean, there's still that it's still an amateur sport, even though there's an increasing number of curlers that are able to make this their job. I mean, and I feel for all the ones that have gone to that position. I mean, can't take anything away from them. They worked hard to get there, and that's many hours of practice, accolades over the years, working hard to get sponsors to pay that, putting in the results at events, and getting the money to support that. Not to mention when they win events. Like the Scotties or the Briar, they're getting karting money and whatnot. Like
It's
that,
their job. It's their career. It's what they've sort of built their life around.
yeah, and I really do feel for all the curlers that are having to deal with that right now, um, and feeling. I think Caitlin said it best. She felt like they just lost their job essentially,
Yeah,
and I feel
it
for
was
them.
it was refreshing to interview Jennifer last weekend at the Cameron's Brewing mixed doubles, and it was after she had gotten the ice from throwing practice rocks on Thursday night, and the sparkle in her eye was there. Like, she was giddy and excited and happy to be back on the ice, and it was clear with the way she was talking and reacting, and even myself. You know what? I wasn't planning to be around much, and like, I'm streaming this from home, Curling's own studio in London, Ontario. Picking up commentators from around the world. We've got Danielle here from Whitby, Oshawa.
Whitby.
Whitby. Okay, I wasn't certain of the exact location.
Pretty close,
General.
but we're definitely Whitby. Anyone
Okay.
who knows, they know.
All right. Good. Well, I didn't. So, but anyway, so yeah, we're trying to keep this keep as few people in the building as possible. But at the same time, I was out there last weekend, and it was so much fun being back. It was just exciting, and yeah, just a nice reprieve from the long summer and everything that was going on, and being back in the sport where with all our people again.
Well, and I appreciate you asking me too, because to be honest, it's been a really weird season. At this point, we've already been on the ice for 2 months, taught a bunch of clinics at this point, and just been deeply immersed into curling. Played in at least 5 events probably by this point. Would have been playing in this one, and it's a really weird time right now. And it's right now, to be honest, I avoided thinking about that because there's not too much we can do at that point. So thinking about how much you miss it is not the most productive way to spend your time. But I'm enjoying this right now, so I appreciate you asking me to join, Jerry.
It's just a distraction, right? It's good to sort of have some time away. It's good for the mental state and all that stuff at the same time. Now, of course, there are risks with everything in life, and what we're trying to do here is make sure that playing conditions are under the safest of all possibility, and we are going above and beyond the guidelines given to indoor arenas and gyms and everything. So this is something that we're definitely considering and trying to make sure we're creating the safest space possible.
So it's it's a tough thing because there's nothing. Everything you do right now is risky, and it's just everybody's got a different risk factor right now.
Yeah, certainly. That was also implemented within our, our refund policies and everything. We did not have any kind of hold on money. If somebody was to withdraw, it was okay. You know what? Good to go. We want to make sure that you're not making decisions based on monetary factors, stuff like that as well too. And, we can patch together some sort of draw. This is, I do this every weekend all year. I can do it for a couple weekends for a couple spiels we try and get in. So. And I think the curlers have been great too. the vast majority have been just, happy to be back on the ice, and it's, that's good to see too. And to be able to put something like this together is rewarding from that respect too.
Mm-hmm. And appreciate it, because our team was one of the ones who had to drop, or who chose to drop. So we, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no shame in that either. You know what, there's no judgment in this scenario. It's, some people are more comfortable being out there. Some people have different situations where, if you don't have a dependent who is got a risk or a job that creates a risk. I did get a phone call from one of the players out there to clarify the safety protocols in place, because they have a job that they don't want to put at risk. So they want to make sure that they're going into a situation that they can justify at the same time too.
Yep, exactly. Well, we have 2 of us on the team where our partners are first responders, mine included. So we're acutely aware of the situation and risks and that it poses. And at this point, we just didn't feel that it made sense for us to play. We'll get to the point where hopefully that all makes sense and put together a more concrete plan, but everybody
just do what we do for now. And,
exactly. Everybody's just got to be comfortable with the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm embracing it. I've been enjoying this time. I've been home a lot more with family. I'm actually homeschooling my kids right now. So, just the opportunity that, I'm not really comfortable with the situation that's going to be out there. I'm not as concerned about the risk of kids in school as much as what the experience is going to be like for the kids, especially for a grade 1er.
Right, for sure. So is today's lesson all about curling?
Oh, lots of curling. He's been taking a keen eye to it. I did have him doing some line score up during the Brier in March, which was fun. This rock, the Yellowstone from Susan Froud here, slides a little bit deep, may have left a double. Question is whether Jones is shot in front of the rings or Froud in the back. Second shot. Froud is lying 1 right now, back of the 8-foot.
Also taking into the curl factor. So having played at the KW Granite for many years, that was my home club while I was at university at Laurier. That side of the sheet tends to be a hair straighter too. So taking that into effect. And there's a good shot of the Stu Sells sign too. And Stu's been an amazing supporter. I have to give a big shout out to him and all that he's been doing for the sport and stepping up this year as well.
Okay, so it sounds like we have some technical issues on the ice. It's not going to stop us from broadcast here, but we don't have the overhead camera at the far end, so this is why we haven't seen the angles here. It's been busy today. This is the 5th game so far today already. So they're going to do what they can. Oh, I guess it has come back.
Looks like it was 1 yellow on the tap.
So was that Froud with hammer?
That was Jones with hammer, but Froud stole 1.
Okay.
Looked like it was a pinch heavy and didn't quite curl up enough.
So that'll make it 1-0 for Susan Froud after the first end here. And we'll be right back after this quick break.
When I sweep with the Gold Line Fiber Light, I feel like I'm sweeping on TV.
That's life.
More surface area, better results.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
You need to sweep for weight? You need to sweep with this.
Now, every time I curl, people ask me, what are you sweeping with? What are you sweeping with?
What are you sweeping with?
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
October is First Responders Month. Please help the helpers. We'd like to send a special thank you out to Patrick Morris of Firehouse Subs for his great support of the Stu Sells series. Patrick has been a supporter of the series from the beginning, and we really appreciate his contributions to help feed us around the club and around the province. Thank you, Patrick. And we're back here, second end. Good start for the scoreboard, I think, tonight. Bodes well. A Froud steal opening up this game and putting some pressure on Team Jones here.
It is. You know what? They both love to have rocks in play, which bodes well for us as viewers. So that's, I mean, a lot of us have been exposed to watching Jennifer's team play, but not as many people have seen Susan Froud out on the ice and her team, and she's never been one to shy away from rocks and play. And making a lot of shots. I know I referred to Susan as sometimes standing on her head, but also as good teammates behind her. I should say that. But sometimes you think you're in a good position, and all of a sudden she comes in and makes some fantastic shot and takes the end away from you. So that was what I meant by that comment.
No, not at all. I think we've seen Susan do this throughout the years in the Oakville events especially. You know, they would be a team that would be lower ranked in the pool usually, and often you'd see them getting into the qualifying round, playing against better competition. She was with Team Horton previous to this, and you know, I think she was a big part of their development, and they qualified for a Tier 2 slam. And so, you know, I think that's a testament to the skill level that she brings to the ice for a team like that, and for the young players as well, to get the best out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. She's, I'll say, a veteran around Ontario, but she's certainly been around for a while, and just not the flashiest player out on the ice, but can certainly make the shots when it counts.
Yeah, exactly. So again, center guard up in play here. Went deep early. This is sort of the reverse Donnie B special, I think, or something like that. Like when you don't have hammer in the first end and you're drawing back 12, like that's sort of jail territory.
Have you heard any feedback yet from the players on how they're feeling about not sweeping behind the tee line?
Oh, the skips are all joyous out there.
Joyous?
I've never seen so many happy skips. No more 6 feet.
Oh, man, but I was training the whole summer for 6 feet. All gone to waste now.
No, I think this evening we definitely had to have a conversation with the teams out there. There has been a little bit of players getting too close together. So prior to going on to the draw tonight, organizers Perry Marshall and I think it was Perry who took care of it. Stu Sankey is also there out and about helping. But they definitely talked about making sure that teams are more aware of their distance and giving enough space out on the ice.
I mean, it's going to be an adjustment for everyone to learn the positioning. First, you have to unlearn some things.
Yeah, and I just got a note from Perry. It's more confusion than concern.
Right.
So it's like just trying to understand that, hey, I need to back off a little bit, not be so close, you know, finding space. Like even in this situation here, the sweeper, there's, you know, whether there's the need to be right on the stone and, you know, stepping back a little bit more. I think she realized that there at the end. You know, the players are learning this, and we're going to see this everywhere. And at the end of the day, what we're doing here is it's a math game. We're trying to find every little place that we can decrease risk. You know, the more you wear masks, the less chance the virus has to spread. You know, the more distance you give, the less people you put in a space, it just drops the probabilities of a virus, if it shows up, from actually being able to spread. So when we do all these things, that's what stops it from spreading. So And this is where the whole risk profile comes into play too. There is no such thing as a zero risk profile.
Yeah, it's true. Whenever at this point, anytime you're around people, you take on that risk. But yeah, it's a fine balance between living your life a little bit and being at risk. And then also, I know what has guided me throughout the past, what are we at, month 7, month 8 now, is thinking about others as well. And your actions affect others. So what are you doing to keep yourself safe, but that also keeps others around you safe? And if you're putting yourself at risk, that also means you're putting others around you at risk. So it's for the benefit of everyone.
Yep, it's definitely a consideration with everybody out there, and I've had those conversations with people who've had to withdraw, and we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the decision that they need to make for themselves. And we're going to go above and beyond to provide a situation that is safe for them. Temperature check at the door, one-way traffic to the ice. When you get in the building, you go straight to your sheet. Red is far end, yellow's at the home end. Every player was required to download the COVID app, the alert app, before coming. And so now, we've got 100 athletes out there plus support staff around the club that are utilizing that app at the same time too. And I hope that's a net positive out of this event at the same time as well, that we get more uptake on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's creating awareness for those apps that are out there. Really, again, it goes back to just common decency. And how can we keep ourselves safe? And then here, how can we keep ourselves safe in order for us to be able to continue to curl?
Yep. Yeah, it's a case. Like when we look at curling clubs trying to open this season, there will be COVID cases in curling clubs. We have to realize that will happen. There are COVID cases in schools all over the place. Opening schools is a necessary challenge because there's so many other things in society that are required from school running. That's why we clamp down on everything else so we can open schools. But, at the same time, we need to make sure that, we try and prevent it from passing around when it does get into these places. And by implementing protections that keep it from passing from person to person is really the critical factor out here. You should assume every person you come in contact with has COVID.
And you can also make that if you just pretend like you're the one who has COVID and then direct yourself accordingly. Keep that mask on, keep your distance, etc.
Yeah, I think that's a good follow-up to my first part.
Well, Susan Froud they've got all the angles right now with those two in the front to be able to manipulate, even though that red rock is shot.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenging spot though. You make a play on either of those, you got to be perfect on the nose, or you might leave a hit and roll underneath for Jennifer to sit 2.
Looks like that's going to over curl and hit the middle here almost. Not quite the angle they're looking for. But it's, even if they're addressing those rocks, Joan's team isn't going to be in a great position right after. Not as strong as they'd like anyways. That's what I've always found with the Froud team, that sometimes they'll make a shot they didn't intend to call, like right there, but you're like, oh shoot, I was hoping that they'd leave me a hit and roll or something great like that, but in the end you're stuck having to play a shot to clear, or to, in this case, say, do the double and stick there, which is fine, but it's not as great as you were hoping for on the miss. So where I'm going is the Froud team tends to miss well when they do miss. And the rock was just ran that line and ended up bumping the yellow. I don't think that's quite behind the guard, but might be a piece buried. Perhaps not. Sorry, that's a better angle to see that. It looks like it's fully exposed. I'm in a position that if they can guard it, it'll make it tough for the Jones team. They may have to look at a run or some kind of a double peel, open things up a bit. It looks like they won't have many options to get in, even for a draw to save the end at this point. Because again, the ice doesn't, you can see it has some curl, but it's not an extreme amount of curl. So you're not seeing the ability to play one of those, say, board weight or hack weight bumps out of the house coming to the nose of it. So if they can get this guarded, they'll be staying in a pretty great spot. And this is one of Susan's bread and butter shots. She usually makes the guards pretty well, and it's like it's perfectly guarded.
Spot on there. Just a little bit over buried off the center line, which is exactly what you want in that situation.
And then here comes into play the ice factor to it. That they're not able to play that soft weight. They would love if she had exposed even a piece of that rock so that they could come in with some soft hack or even backline and tap it out and sit two for the time being, but it doesn't look like that's an option. Looks like the call is the run, Jerry. Is that what you're seeing?
That's what the broom goes down for. So I'm seeing now.
Perfect time to answer that one.
It's like you're a little clairvoyant, Danielle. Oof. And unfortunately, I guess that doesn't affect her too bad at the back. She did pick her own out, but took one of Froud's stones, and she is still sitting shot in the way back corner there.
It looked like she might have overcompensated a bit, thinking that the ice was going to go run really straight and didn't want to put any outside movement on that, and instead overcompensated and turned it in. Tricky thing about straight ice.
Yeah, this ice has been very weight dependent. They do have a new ice maker at the KW Granite Club now. I don't know if you knew that or no. Not. Rob, I believe his last name is Adams. He was at the Hamilton Vic last year, and so he's moved into the full-time job here at the KW Granite Club. And last weekend was his first event. He put ice in at the club. He had it ready for Thursday evening practice ahead of the 5 o'clock or the Friday morning games.
Wow.
So he did a great job, him and his team, putting the whole ice in all together, and they have been working tirelessly all day. With COVID protocols, the other thing that's happened is we're 3.5 hours between every draw. So, or 3 hours and 15 and 3.5, depending on scrape. So it's definitely a lot more time between draws, and safety protocols are put in place there too to keep interactions from happening at the same time too.
So it did end up doing the trick there. That rock is most definitely overburied. They were hoping to clog the hole, and they did a little bit more, but because of the way the ice is, again, this side a little bit straighter. There is a hole still there that they can hit to get the point. Got to hit at least half of the 4 foot to get this one. Like they found the hole, and great weight, nice shot. Tied ball game after 2 ends.
Thanks for sending us out, Danielle. We'll be right back after these quick messages.
Hi.
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 I'm Sean Chang.
My name is Chris.
Hi, I'm Phil Hanna.
And I'm an RBC mortgage specialist.
I can meet you where you work, where you live, or halfway across town. Unia Mortgage Specialist.
You can find us anywhere, from here
To here.
and even way over here.
But what is a
Mortgage specialist.
And what does a mortgage specialist do?
What does a mortgage specialist do?
What does a mortgage specialist do?
Well, to start, we understand our communities.
Whether you live in Little Portugal
Or run and operate a store in Bloor West Village.
We want to understand you.
We take the time to get to know each and every one of our clients.
Because we all have unique circumstances.
And we would love to get to know yours.
So, let's meet at your closest branch.
Or maybe over a cup of coffee.
So we can understand what matters to you.
We're here to support you.
And we never,
Ever.
ever leave our clients behind.
Whether you're buying your first home
Or your fifth.
Or even when you're looking to build your dream home.
We bring our deep understanding of the real estate landscape and our communities.
Together, under the one team of RBC.
Para melhor atender você.
Because our goal is to help you achieve yours.
Our goal is to help you achieve yours.
And we'll work tirelessly to make your dream home a reality.
To make your dream home a reality.
Your goals and dreams deserve an expert. Come and see an RBC mortgage specialist today, where we won't leave a client behind.
Special thank you there to Keith Joel of RBC Mortgages. He's been a great supporter of the Stu Sells series from the beginning, and it's great to promote what he does there a little bit, and he does make an appearance in that video as well.
Yeah, you know what? Big kudos to all of the sponsors who are keeping things going right now. You know, times are tough for everyone, but that support really does mean a ton to all of the curlers and the curling fans out there, because without that, you wouldn't have be able to be watching curling right now on this live stream.
So with getting everything ready today, it's been a few challenges and hiccups here and there. We're hoping to profile as many team sponsors as we can tomorrow. I'm going to dig into the emails I got and pull out some logos and stuff and see if we can give everybody in the field, whether they're on the stream or not, a few shout outs at the same time too.
Melissa, there's a 54.
Yeah, it's definitely the sponsors that make the curling world go around.
It really is. We're looking for about 10 feet more weight on that. Solid line though. Feel like that the Jones team taking that point in the last end was a bit of a momentum shift there. Started off the first two ends a little rocky, but feel like they've started to get their momentum back and look more comfortable.
Well, it's going to be what happens when you put rocks in play, and this is still early season curling for Team Jones. Jen and Brent Lang won the Cameron's Brewing mixed doubles last weekend, so we really got to see some good shot making out of them then. But it's still, I'm calling it September curling, but we are rolling into October, what would normally be a September start.
Yeah. How is it already October on that note?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the time has gone.
Usually, I know I start paying more attention to the weekends once you get into curling and how many weekends you're curling or whatnot. So that barometer is a little bit gone right now.
Yeah, for sure. Although we do have a number of events in play this weekend. I think I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 events on Curling Zone doing live scoring, and it's pretty exciting to see curling taking off in places where they've been able to keep the numbers under control for the most part, and now we're seeing those places are the ones where they're getting the rewards at the end of the day.
And that was quite the shot we just watched. Call it not quite a triple, but sort of a triple bump.
Oh, it's kind of the splash, I like to call it.
Splash.
You
that's
just create a
great word
wall
for it.
around the back of opponent's stones. When you have the hammer, that's like into a Fairmont pillow bed.
That might be one of the greatest comparisons I've ever heard. How do you turn curling into a hotel bed? Being said, they will sit 4 here in the back.
Yeah, but if I'm Team Froud right now, I'm not at all concerned. That rock in the middle, they can bump it back again, make that wall in the back bigger.
Absolutely. Kind of surprised she's calling for board. I'm thinking maybe I missed the indication, but a hidden flop perhaps is what she's looking for.
She does have quite a bit of ice on that broom, so I think she did. Yeah, I think that was what you were thinking she was going to throw.
Well, I agree with you that you'd maybe just want to tap it to the back 12 as opposed to tap it all the way through.
Oh, just about caught the perfect break there.
And that
I think that was a little bit more weight than was preferred there, and I agree.
Well, that also speaks to the ice being weight sensitive, so you up your weight a bit, and it's going to run a whole lot more.
So we are 1-1 playing the third end here.
A great weight on that shot. Would like to tuck it a little bit more. It's available, but still a rock to deal with. Not to mention, sitting 5 is always a position you wouldn't mind being in. So Team Froud coming in with takeout, perhaps might even catch the back one. And they do. And it goes out even without sweeping. Those are those shots where, as a skipper, as the person in charge of the house, that you're just dying to sweep.
Yeah, those creepers out the back, right? Just
yep.
But you know what? It's the same for everybody. It's the kind of thing, you know, I don't know if this becomes a case that this disappears from the game after this. I kind of hope not. But maybe in certain components of the game, it just makes more sense to remove that from the game.
Oh, whatever it takes to be safe. I think the biggest thing too is understanding the why behind things as well. The why everyone's doing it. And even when you're, I won't say questioning, but when you're confused about the rules, or you had mentioned that some players there was some confusion out there, that you've got to go back to, yes, you follow a rule to a T, but you also have to think of the why behind it, and that can help you continue to follow it. I mean, rules are there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. You know, we're all trying to do the best out there, and the curlers are the same, and it's, you know, for them it's habit, and we're just trying to break some of those habits a little bit and just make them aware of spacing and stuff. And you know, it's a matter of just decreasing every interaction possible. And so if we're not perfect off the start, we're going to continue to work to get better and better at doing it. And we did just send an email out to all the teams. We will be moving to a full mask mandate based on today's Government of Ontario announcement. So I think we want to, you know, continue being ahead of the curve as to protecting our athletes and the people around them at the same time as well.
Yep, and that's, you know what, that's so important, and that flexibility is keeping up with the most up-to-date health things. It can be tough to deal with, but no, it's appreciated for the greater good.
Another end, lots of rocks in play. Really enjoying watching this.
There's that great freeze that you see off to the right-hand side, forcing this draw. Came a little bit deeper than they would have liked to have it. And if there's any secret to playing against Froud, it's don't leave her a draw shot, particularly a freeze.
All the good skips have it.
I mean, that being said, it's obvious that they are the underdogs out here, but we're still getting quite a great game. And I think that's one of the great things about curling, and especially early season. You talked about, kind of feels like September right now because everyone's getting back on the ice, and this is when you're more apt to get those errors. If you can take advantage of them at the right time, that's when you can win games.
This one needs some curl, though.
Oh, bit of weight difficulty on that side. Wonder if it's just a little bit of a slick spot there.
Wasn't this the side you said was straight?
Yep. And which is true. You up your weight.
Straighter, not straight.
Yeah, straighter. You up your weight a little bit, and it'll. I've seen it actually at this club a lot. You up your weight a little bit, and it makes it look like you upped it a mile.
Well, it's precision shot making required. You know, that's ice that is a good test on the curlers where, you know, you'll get this on a lot of, you know, an average curling club ice where, you know, if you throw hack or board or backline or draw, you know, some places you'll get very much the same kind of curl. And so, you know, you're not punished as much. But if you don't throw the right weight on this ice, it will make you look like a fool sometimes.
You can see Jocelyn backing right off. And that's the same spot there, and you can see clearing the guard by about a foot.
Yep, just a quicker track down that spot. You start to throw a few stones down a spot, and you get a bit of a runway effect.
Third time's a charm, but this is interesting. They're switching up the turn, so clearly not loving the other side of the ice. And looks like they're playing a bit of a hit, we'll call it.
I believe this is last rock coming up.
Yep.
Don't fault Danielle on that. We are doing this from our screens.
Oh. Well, actually, to be honest, what I was saying was that I was surprised she didn't just play the same draw path that she had to make the draw. I mean, you can use it with backing, but you'd like to think that if you draw it, you could just slam the broom down, take a few feet off, and throw
Very
it.
true, yep. So last stone here, the third end. Susan Froud looking for the hit to score 2. Looking to take a 3-1 lead on Jennifer Jones. The sweeping is held. They will take a look at those 2 stones, but I believe, yeah, Jennifer's kicking it off. So that will be 2 for Susan Froud. She now leads 3-1 here after 3 ends in the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. We'll be right back after these quick messages.
Hey guys, I'm so excited about our new listing for the Stu Sells team. We are in our home turf, the Junction, and we are bringing this phenomenal semi to market. It's a corner lot with a huge side yard. It's got 3 bedrooms up, 1 bedroom in the basement, 2 full bathrooms, spectacular brand new hardwood floors, gorgeous kitchen, brand new 2-piece on the main floor, full finish rec room. You can have a family room, home office, above grade windows, nice and bright, separate entrance out the back. This home is awesome. We also have parking in the back. But look, we're in the Junction. The Sweet Potato is just right there. All the stores, funky shops in the Junction. And now with Cafe TO, they've all gone out in the streets with really cool patios. So you can go to Noto's patio and have Italian. You can go to the Alpines patio and get some great food. And everything's walking distance. And also, don't forget to give us a call if you want your Stu Says Slow Down sign. Stay safe and scrub your hands and support our frontline workers. So go to stusells.ca. You can see all the photos, the video, and then give me, Stu, a call and come for a personal tour.
Gotta love Stu. He's the guy you want selling your house, right?
Absolutely. A fantastic person and a fantastic salesman.
So we'd certainly want to give a lot of thanks to Stu for helping bring this curling to the masses. Stu's been putting together a GoFundMe campaign that has been put together to try and bring more of these streaming events to everyone around the world. We've got the equipment. Stu has gone out and upgraded all the streaming equipment, bought a bunch of stuff for this event and next weekend as well, depending on what's going on and future announcements. But it's the opportunity to show more curling around the province and give teams like Team Froud a chance to maybe become a little bit more known and help attract some more sponsorship.
So important and so appreciated.
So, of course, for Team Froud, I just wanted to run down a few of their great sponsors. Sun Life, McCarran, and Chobotic Financial Services. I really appreciate your support of Team Froud. Medexus, Oral Visc. We've got Parbro Farms, Balance Plus, Mr. Dairy, and Workwear Toronto. So, all of those sponsors help make this possible for Team Froud. So here into the fourth end now. Jones gets a chance with the hammer again.
And already getting into it. Team Froud, if they can do a little bit of that Christmas tree effect, getting the rock around at sit 2, they'd be looking pretty good.
Yeah, even a great scenario. I like the high center guard here. Really put the pressure on Team Jones.
Well, it's true. You would have to spend some extra time peeling away. We've already seen that peels can be difficult.
Yeah, and just what you need is a nose hit on one of those peels, and then you can rope it around the double center guard, and here that is. Well, Susan doesn't disappoint with the aggression.
She certainly does not. And that's the interesting thing for Team Jones. They haven't really seen them play, and therefore still trying to figure out what they're all about and what their strategy is. And sometimes part of your team's strategy is knowing what the other team is going to throw at you, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So when you don't necessarily know, it's a bit of a roll of the dice, and that can affect the way you play as well.
Yeah, I really like that point, Danielle. It's sort of the fact it's the unknown. It's going out there and playing a team and not being certain in what your next call is going to be. And when you're not certain on your game plan, you're not at your best. You just don't pull together as a team nearly the same. And so when you're playing this game, I think a big part of it, and this is really evolving as analytics grows, is it's as much about your own game plan now as disrupting your opponents.
Yep, absolutely. And especially when you play these teams week after weekend, whether it's Team Jones playing a lot on the Grand Slam circuit or Team Froud on the WCT circuit and OCT circuit, you get to know the teams around you.
Exactly.
And in this case, Froud, I'll say the piece of the advantage that they can take is that obviously they've been able to watch Team Jones on TV, see how they play, some of their strengths, their weaknesses, so they know what they're coming up against.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something that is brought into play often when you see some of these matchups. So again, Jennifer going to ask for the peel in the middle, wants to keep that middle open. Again, with that guard so high, she could throw a draw here, but, 5-rock rule and the trouble you can get into very quickly. This is a very smart and patient call.
Absolutely. I mean, could you draw? Yes. But if you ever miss that draw, then you're in a world of trouble because you'll see Froud throw up another guard, a better guard, tighter to the house.
And then, of course, the other option is even if you make a great shot here, you might only score one.
And it's the safer call to peel, so safe is the name of the game, and you can tell that Team Jones has the patience to do that as well.
The way I like to look at it and call it is a patient aggression.
Good word. Yeah, really
so,
like that.
You got to pick your spots, but it's important to make sure that it's the right spot at the same time, too.
And you know what's great too about the streams that you're doing here, Jerry, is you're giving the opportunity for people around Canada to really see this. I'm just looking through the Facebook comments on here, and it's great to see people tuning in from coast to coast. Something that you just really wouldn't have the opportunity to as well. We've all got to get our curling fix in here.
Yeah, there's some developments coming up around the country. I know Team Cooey just announced that they will be putting together a production team to stream all their games this year. It's certainly exciting to see that opportunity pop up, and we're going to see our first team actually, kind of pull the pro curling TV deal type thing maybe someday. We're getting closer with this kind of thing, and so it's sort of an opportunity for a team like that to try some new things and try and support their sponsors that continue to support them through this as well. And I know Saskatchewan, there's some things brewing as well. Team Dunstone's got an announcement coming up within the next few days, so be sure to subscribe to their Facebook and social media profiles, because there should be something exciting there to see. And of course, in Atlantic Canada, we've got a number of events that could potentially be streaming as well. So lots more curling to come, I hope. And, we'll see what we can do with the opportunity we get.
For sure. And you know what, we spent a lot of time, especially in the first half of the game, talking about the modifications and the challenges that it is to be out on the ice and to run an event like this, to put together streaming and whatnot. But I think those are all such good points, Jerry, that it does open the opportunities to try something new, to do something different. And that can have some really great effects.
Our sport has evolved over the years with the experimentation that's come from it. Everything from the whole free guard zone in general, from 3 to 4 to 5, the way the time clocks are run now with thinking time versus game time has just created a better game. And, I think our game has done a really good job in general of reacting to the skill level of the players as it evolves.
Yeah, now is the time to try some new things with the technology side of the game.
You got it.
How we might digest curling.
Yeah, so in this situation, we've got Evan Seacombe. He's taking care of the streaming on site. They're in the media room off to the side. I don't think they're allowed to see anybody in there. He's got a partner with him who's been running the camera. And, they've been doing a great job putting this together. And now the opportunity to bring together commentary and putting this package together off-site is, it does create some opportunities to do this from a low-tech perspective as well. Put a couple good web cameras in place and get some angles, make sure you got some shots in all the right places. And, you can put together a feed to bring curling to the fans around the world.
That's what neat. Die-hard curling fans will find a way to go watch curling. That's for sure. Even if it's no matter what the angles you've got there, even though they're not your TSN or your Sportsnet angles that you'd see out there. I'd like to say this is fantastic for a stream to have these multiple angles from a curling rink. So you can tell you're dealing with different ceiling heights, different shooting across sheets, and we're lucky to have this technology that it can bring together such a great stream at this level.
And some great camera switching there as we get to see the shot coming in, and then as it drifts into the house there at the end as well.
And buried.
So just as a side note, Evan has never shot curling before either, so this is his debut performance. So I'd say I'm quite impressed with how quickly they've picked this up.
Oh, way to go. I'll run back here. This will be your first rock. Nose would be perfect, dead buried behind. And well done. A beautiful shot.
So Jones now putting a little pressure on here.
Looks like she's going to try to bury here. I mean, you could see that with her first shot, she was able to get a good amount of curl there. But she'll have to go a lot deeper here to be able to make sure she's buried around this. This is a pretty technical shot, not wanting to go too deep, but also needing to make sure you're fully buried so that Jones doesn't have a chance for the deuce. Instead forced to draw. So pretty sensitive shot if ever you want your weights on this shot.
Yeah, like you said, key is to get buried here. It almost doesn't matter whether you're top of the rings or behind the tee line as long as you're underneath cover. And shot, of course. Which this is not going to do. Just a little bit too much weight there from Susan Froud. Opens the door here for Jennifer Jones. Last shot to come here in the fourth end.
Free chance to get that draw weight down, pat, and learn a spot on the ice. You can see the difference between where they're putting the broom when they're throwing a draw on this side versus the other one. Significant difference in curl. Great scrub. And that will be a deuce for Team Jones and all tied up.
Thanks, Danielle. We got the score updated now. We're going to head to a quick break. We'll be right back.
No matter what speed you're comfortable with, the G50 line has a shoe for you.
That's comfortable and stylish.
When it was time to get his first pair of curling shoes, we went with Goal Line. Now it's time for the G50.
Looks great, but it grips better than anything.
Man, this is a light curling shoe.
These remind me of why I like to play the game.
This is actually the most comfortable curling shoe I have ever owned. It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
October is First Responders Month, so please help the helpers. Firehouse Subs is supporting this effort as a franchise formed by firemen. They continue to support and promote the causes that are dear to the first responders. I'd like to thank Patrick Morris for his support from Firehouse Subs. He's been a supporter of the Stu Sells series from the start, and we really appreciate all the support he's given us over the years. Thank you, Patrick. All right, we're back here. This has been a great game so far, Danielle.
It really has. Tons of rocks in play every end. Really putting the pressure on both skips, especially to be able to make those last shots. It's been coming down to those. I mean, it sounds like a funny thing because, yes, it always does come down to the skip shots, but
they're making them.
Yeah, it's instead of those misses, which is great to see.
Yeah, my name's Jerry Gertz of Curling Zone. The voice you hear, that's Danielle Inglis. Welcome, Danielle. Really appreciate you coming on this evening and joining the stream. We're hoping to have commentators throughout the rest of the weekend as we worked out most of the bugs to start. And now, I want to make sure the house is in order before I start bringing in any guests.
We've done a good job, Jerry. Honestly, this is fantastic. And I know there's so many people who appreciate the ability to be able to watch any sort of live curling. Been kind of living off of old games from YouTube, whatnot, but so it's great to see some fresh content out here.
So that segue is perfect timing for me to talk about tomorrow night's late draw. Will be hosted by the Curling Zoom Party, as the curling watch party that started right around the beginning of the pandemic by Matt Hames and Kevin Palmer. I believe George Carey's was around there, and Julie, Flynn Burton. I can't remember. I can't believe I'm forgetting her first name right now, but Jane it is. But this group has kind of come together over the pandemic, and they get together, watch curling games, and kind of discuss old games, all the way from Paul Gausel in 1982, a game I've never seen him play on the ice before, so that was a treat. We've had special guests from Eugene Ritzik watching the 1988 Brier final, the game that he lost kind of on a memorable but not in a good way last shot, but he sat through and watched that game with everyone, and the commentary was really interesting from that. So the Curling Zoom Party goes every Saturday evening. If you just sort of search around Facebook and the curling groups, you'll find some links to it. But we will be hosting the commentary from this Zoom Party tomorrow evening. So again, another line of rocks in play in the middle.
They're all just fighting for those angles right now. Looks like she's having that debate between being the tap yellow or peeling the guard. It's like the call was for the peel. And the side they were trying to do the tap on does have a little bit more curl, but still a pretty tough tap given the circumstances. And a pretty good result there. They were, again, the angles were all in Jones's favor, right at the top of the house there in the top 12. So the re-angling that really worked to their advantage. And see, it looks like Jennifer called Caitlin is probably going to come down.
Yeah, time to have a little bit of a discussion here about this situation. Looks like Caitlin is interested in the draw there. Of course, with COVID precautions, we do not have any players mic'd out there. We do have a microphone on the overhead camera for ambient noise, but again, to just prevent more interactions with players and people working behind the scenes as well. Just means we have to be good at lip reading from a distance.
Behind the mask, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
So, though actually that's a really interesting point about it changes the communication, not only from us being able to understand the game, but even the players themselves, because they don't have the ability to lip read or get that kind of body language. And in order to talk, you'll have to be in a decent close proximity, but not too close. So throws a whole difference into how you communicate in your systems.
I think it's just an opportunity for teams to, learn a few more skills out there at the same time too. Work on your hand signals and different ways to communicate as well. It's certainly something we've seen in some curling venues in the past where it has been really loud and noisy. So, you got to learn how to communicate in a different way.
Yeah. Well, interesting too. I was reading an article, and Emma Logan, curler from Nova Scotia, who's a deaf curler, she was competing at the Scotties, and I thought of her when this was all going on. You talk about masks. She's a lip reader, and of course, masks absolutely take that ability away. So I saw that her team was looking at ways that they could change that communication. So they were using the masks with the see-through plastic part, but it kept fogging up, so she couldn't see anyways. So they just went straight to masks. I'm sure all of the teams are having their own challenges, and that's another challenge for them. But knowing Emma, she's one of the friendliest, nicest people you'll ever meet in curling. Most positive people. I'm sure they're working through it.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Emma last year at the Scotties, and it's an inspiration to see her competing at that high level, and being a great role model for kids coming up in the sport, and seeing somebody achieve something at that level is amazing. And yeah, Colleen Jones did a great feature on what's going on in Nova Scotia right now with the mask wearing and Emma's mask as well too, or the lip reading mask. So that was really cool to read from Colleen at the same time too.
It was such a great ambassador for the sport.
Hey, fellow curling fans, it's Stu here from Stu Sells.
Just working on trying to add a little video there. We'll get to Stu a little later in the break.
All about trying new things.
Exactly. The software we're using does still have a few limitations, but it's pretty amazing for what it offers and the ability that we can do something like this. The nose hit just wants to tap that back. Looks like just perfect.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And it looks like just hit shot as well. Still a piece open up. Looks like the call is for a tap. It's great seeing the new look Jones team, 5-player team.
Yeah, and I'm talking to Jen. The plan is to be a true rotation, isn't it? They're going to get them in fairly regularly each.
Yeah, that will be exciting to see how they're doing it. I mean, for years it's been talked about the benefits of having a 5-person team out there, especially as the schedules get more demanding. And if you're not able to play, we'll call it play almost professionally, where you're making your money there and you're having to deal with jobs and travel, a 5th man is not a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. For just adding a 5th player to the team, you're going to end up seeing a situation where you can play 4 more events as a team and nobody commits any extra time.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden that's 4 more opportunities to go out and capitalize on these opportunities to get out and compete and everything. And of course the injuries is a real big deal at the same time too.
Oh, huge, especially when the season is getting progressively longer. Like I've heard curling fans say, well, why can't we be watching curling? Why can't there be events all year round? Well, at some point, athletes' bodies need a break. And it is an intense 8-9 months on the ice. And you do need a break, not only mentally, but physically. No matter how good a shape you're in, anybody who's done any sort of fitness training knows that an important component to any workout regime is also where you give your rest.
Yeah, and it's the balance in your body too at the same time, right? If you're not actually getting that rest, your body is doing certain motions repeatedly, and that definitely leads to injury down the road.
It does, and that's why the off season is so important, to be able to get that non-sport specific training in, so that you're trying to work on those imbalances. It's tough to do that while you're actively playing a sport, especially curling, that's so one-sided.
Yeah, I know it was a situation. There was a sweeper. I'm not going to name names, but he ended up hurting himself, and he realized after the fact that his front was actually stronger than his back. So he ended up straining his back because of it, like his upper shoulder or something like that. And that just comes from that, with putting so much work into one area. And it's not just training in the gym. When these players go to the gym, they're actually trying to rebalance themselves. But with the sweeping motion, you're working in that one motion all the time.
Completely. Remember, Marcel Rock talks passionately about trying to find that balance, because you'll hear him talk about how his one bicep has been so much larger than his other one, and did create some serious imbalances. And that's something that through curling, just it naturally happens there. And I've never heard a human speak so passionately about cooling down after a game than Marcel. Got some
I think it's something
here.
a lot of... Sorry, Danielle.
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead. I was just saying, right now it's Team Jones with all of the angles here, and not too many great opportunities for Team Froud.
I like your idea. Let's focus on the game a little bit more.
Well, sometimes what I find is the backstories are the fun ones too that you get. We can all watch the game. I know right now we have a dedicated group of fans watching curling in this game, but nice to hear a few of the things in behind the scenes too. I know I've been learning from you about what's been going on at KW Granite this week.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of work behind the scenes, and a lot of people have put time in to make this work. And I want to throw a shout out to a few of them. Matt Wilkinson and his wife Amanda have been amazing. Matt's been working hard around the club and making sure everybody's following the rules and following the guidelines, and he's kicking butt around the club, and nobody's getting away with anything. So Perry Marshall has been out all day today helping out. Got in first thing this morning. Stu Sankey is around as well this weekend, just being an amazing help. The streaming crew, Evan Seacombe, and I believe his partner there is Steve, running the camera here as we see. But yeah, a lot of great work going into this. The ice crew, Rob Adams and we've got Lorna in the office as well, taking care of all the waivers and paperwork and everything that needed to be put together for this too. And yeah, a lot of work behind the scenes. Oh, and I can't forget Chris Way at the Oakville Curling Club as well. I know we worked hard to try and put something together there, and just changes to their schedule meant we were looking for a new home in KW.
Amazing. And I'll echo those thanks, because can't be said enough for what it takes to put on an event. And we'll call this event a smaller event, have to have less than 50 people on each side, but even just the number of people you name behind the scenes to make this event go on. And so I know there have been questions and concerns, and in some cases some very strong opinions for some events that have had to be canceled this season, like some of the slams, some of the Curling Canada events. But what people don't realize is that it's not just the players on the ice that you have to look out for the health and safety of. It's the volunteers behind the scenes. It's the staff. There are many more people who make this happen. There's the production crew. And these events don't go off without many people helping with them.
Yeah, I think it was something, I know I was somebody who thought curling had a chance, especially at the top of the game. You know, the Grand Slams, the Brier, the Scotties, the Worlds. These events could all be run in hubs and sort of in protected situations like that. But when you look at what the other sports are doing, they have millions of dollars to do this. Like, they're testing people every 2 days in these sports hubs.
Well, so I was going to jump in there with the testing situation, Jerry, too. They're in hubs, so they're away from
exactly.
their friends and family. Right now in curling, again, we're not professionals.
No.
Or at least not, we don't have the ability to go into, and I know that when I say we, just as curlers in general, just do not have the ability to right now to go in a hub for an entire months on end to curl, because the majority of people out there have jobs, they have kids. There are so many other factors going on behind the glass, not to mention one of like, if you were to get tested, let's say right now in Ontario, because there are so many tests being done, the labs are overrun. You're looking at testing times like
7 days.
7 days, exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense, because in order for that test to make any sort of sense, you would have to be absolutely locked down in your house after that test. And even then, there's a possibility of a false positive.
Yeah. So that's also, there's so many challenges around that as well. What they did, I know Major League Baseball's policy was 2 tests negative 24 hours apart or more. So like some players ended up going, like Juan Soto from the Washington Nationals was like negative, positive for like 4 or 5 days. And so there's a lot of challenges around all these policies. And really the approach that we're taking here is that we're going to assume that somebody could walk into the building with COVID, and we're going to do everything we can to ensure that nobody catches it from that person. And anybody that came in contact with that person with the COVID tracing app would actually then recognize that quickly once something came of this. So all of these things are done to decrease the risk of everything going on. And of course, we're looking at a measure here.
Now, with all those rocks in play,
wow,
like it's
that's
tough
close
to tell. Pretty close here from this angle, Jerry. Who are you putting your money on right now, red or yellow?
I'm putting my money on the camera operator, because that looks like a real good placement of that camera. Just over the number there. That looks like yellow to me. So it'll be a single point for Team Froud here in the 5th end. I did not see if they pulled another rock off the button or not. So we'll check the score once they hang. We'll get some intel from on scene and see if we can update you with the score when we come back.
Series. And I know that with COVID happening, curling tournaments getting canceled, curling clubs are being postponed or not opening, and you're all missing competitive curling. Well, I've got some great news. The KW Granite Curling Club has stepped up to the plate, and this weekend they're going to host the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard, and on Thanksgiving weekend they're going to host the Stu Sells Toronto Tankard. And I went out, I invested a lot of money, and I bought top-of-the-line streaming equipment. So I've got great news. We're going to bring you live competitive curling online through the StuCurls.com site and Curling Zone. So we're going to bring some great curling for you to watch. So I want you to grab your beer or your Chardonnay, grab your snacks, sit back and enjoy. But the reason for this video and the GoFundMe campaign is the live streaming is really, really expensive. And I didn't want to have you subscribe to something or pay a fee to sign up to watching curling. I want to bring curling to all the curling fans across Canada, the United States, and the world. So we're just asking everyone to go on the GoFundMe page and donate $10, $20 and help us do the live streaming for this weekend, next weekend, and if we raise more money, we can do live streaming at all other events too. So remember, stay safe out there, 6 feet apart, wash your hands, wear a mask, and go to the Stu Sells Instagram and tell me what you think about my funky new backsplash.
What do you think, Stu? Or sorry, Danielle, what do you think of Stu's new backsplash there?
I was going to text you and say, I love it.
Oh, wow.
I feel like I'm in the tropics. This is fabulous. Also, blue is a very in color for cabinets. I've been watching a lot more HGTV lately, and blue is so in right now.
That's a tough color, though, isn't it? Because when it goes out, it's kind of really out.
Yeah, you know what? I hear you, but I've seen some really nice deep navy blues that almost look black that I think you could get away with for a bit. But I hear you. It's definitely more of a trend rather than classic.
Yeah, I could do with the dark blue. Anyways, here we go. 6 then now. It was a single point for Team Froud. 1 on a measure. Heck of a battle here today.
It really is. It was great using some tick power. We've got a high guard coming. One positive thing, and you saw Karen there with her finger pointed up, not having both heads down and sweeping really forces the other person to focus on the communication, especially the nonverbal communication. So there's another positive that can come out on this. Team's really strengthening their nonverbal communication on the ice. Looks like Jen is looking to see if there's a hole there. Appears it could be pretty tight the way those guards are staggered. That they're contemplating the run back here. Even the potential of the double peel. Or even here, talked about the running the red onto the side yellow. You can see right from the get-go, everything's become quite junky already. Not too many ways in the forefoot. This is them going through the hole. Possibly even think if they wick off of that red rock, could even land on the other yellow. Few options here. And they make it. Great shot.
What a shot. So I just shared the link for the Stu Sells supports, putting some money to help fund more of this streaming coverage. Anybody who's interested in helping support the cause, all the money will go towards helping bring in the production crew that is required to put these through every week. Stu has invested his sponsorship into bringing the equipment and making it possible to do this at a more affordable cost. So I posted the link into the chat and the streams. I hope anybody who can help would donate to the cause. We appreciate anything.
Great. Answered back through the hole. And just wick that guard. Susan calling for another tight guard. So now they're going to be almost, well, not quite double guarded, but they'll have two rocks up there.
Need to get this one over.
How hard is it not to join in that sweeping?
Oh. Yeah, it's just got to be killing you there.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, though, but, we just got to keep that space, keep that distance. That's a behavior that the curlers are going to have to learn from competitive level all the way down into the club as we go through this and try and figure out where we all fit in the next time.
And you know what, the thing with curlers right now, they have to unlearn it, then relearn it, how to do it. But if you're introducing new people to the sport right now, they would just get used to the way things are, just as we did with the current rules.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
I think in time, people will get comfortable. I've got some grief over the announcement that we will be going to full masks starting tomorrow morning on the ice. So no more lowering them for sweeping or throwing. The announcement today has led to, I think we review the guidelines, which are constantly evolving, and we want to continue to maintain the best approach possible out there.
And that's, again, back to the why we do things, just knowing that every decision is made for a reason. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone while keeping it safe. I mean, part of the whole thing is managing people's expectations too, and people trying to follow the rules and what happens if you don't. And while it's not a rule like, you would have like you try to take a rock and it goes out of play and then you just put it back. No, like the consequence of this could be serious health consequences.
Yeah. At the same time, you get in your car and you drive to work, and there is a health consequence to that at the same time too. There's a risk. And what is that risk, and where do you weigh it? And it all fits into the puzzle, and it's something we don't want to cause a problem with the sport. It's some of the discussion out there right now is that we want to make sure that we don't we have to set a good example for the sport as well. There's a couple rules that are a little bit different just because of the situation that competitive curling teams are in, and they are much more of a hub, and that's the second sweeper gets to join in, but here they're supposed to be 6 feet apart. And ideally here, the fact that they're tracking forward means that, if there's any particles, they are dragging behind the two of them, not spreading sideways. So again, it's just trying to make sure it fits in every spot that we're considering that, you could interact with somebody.
For sure. Have to call out that great split. Team Froud was saying shot at the back of the house. And now it looks like they probably are saying 1-2. And it's true, Jerry. What's interesting is you're seeing these kind of streams across the country. And what people see on TV or on a live stream, they now take as a rule. So I think it's really important what you said there about how competitive rules may look slightly different than house league rules. Especially you take curling team. Curling team is almost like your family. You're almost going to have to be in the same bubble because you spend so much time together. Unless you're driving 4 or 5 separate vehicles to the rink, getting 4 or 5 different hotel rooms, sitting 6 feet apart for all meals and team discussions, it's which honestly isn't that realistic. You're going to be in each other's bubble to some extent.
Yeah, it's all about, that's the financial aspect of everything there too, right? You're talking about 4 times the costs in some scenarios.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just not realistic. But it's different when you're playing a house league game and you can drive yourself to the curling club, and
most people do, or they find their own way, right?
Yeah, and you're seeing your team. There's the ability to social distance, which is why those distinctions are so important.
Yeah. I think, when you talk about the guidelines that Curling Canada put out, their challenge is they need to make something that is as simple and clear as possible. So that when, a club member reads it here and there, it's clear as to what they did. And you know what? I think they did a great job and accomplished that because a number of people think these are now the rules of curling.
Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you.
Yeah. So these are guidelines, recommendations from the sports national body that hands down to their associations, which is hand down to the clubs, and then is put in front of the local health authority. And then from there, guidelines are going to be tailored to the regions where they are.
Yeah. And that's the most important distinction. Guidelines, not rules.
Yeah.
And every province and territory is in a different situation. And even, especially in Ontario, I would say, especially Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, even a bit of Quebec, they're very regionalized specifications too. So like for instance, around the Greater Toronto area, we're all under different restrictions depending on the number of cases. So it's what works in Ontario or what works in PEI doesn't work in Ontario.
Yeah, and it's the same situation here when you talk about the KW region. We are not part of the red zone or whatever they're calling Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa right now. We are close to it, but there is still a fairly low case total around the area, and we've been tracking those numbers as well. And the guidelines put into place go above and beyond what they have asked indoor facilities to do for sport. And masks are not required on the ice under the local guidelines. And all of this is pre-calculated based on risk factors within the community. So, We definitely wanted to take further steps because we do have players traveling from different parts of the province. We even have a few players in from Manitoba and Alberta as well. So, we want to be careful and make sure that we minimize that chance too.
So looks like they're calling for the guard. If they can put a tight one in there, as you can see from this great shot we have, it's going to be tough to even for Jones to have a draw in for a point here. It's if she can place this rock perfectly. Specifically, they'd like to stay, if anything, more on the high side of this rock, closer to center line.
Yeah, you want it real high, right?
Oh, I was even thinking if you go a little bit tighter, then you have, because of where those high ones are, if you go tighter, might make it tough as well.
Yeah, there's no hit on that red stone in the top of the 8-foot there. So you're going to have to play that with some sort of draw weight tap. So you're going to need a bit of a hook there. So you could show that whole stone. So maybe you're biting the center line, maybe an inch or two off the center line, opposite side of that stone. And then it takes the wide draw away too. And the inside out hit here.
I'm backing right off this rock right now.
Going tight with the right angle could work out real well too. That's in a great spot, I think.
Perfectly drawn up. It's true now, though, that like you said, Jerry, there could be a tap or there could be a little redirect off the red.
Yeah, because she came tight. The regular tap is there. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can see that shot from the far end again, it would show kind of what we were talking about, how the stagger of the rocks is a little bit difficult. They're going to have to manipulate their way through here. And there's a great picture of it. Looks like they've got the ice down there for the tap. To tap it for a pretty solid chunk of the 4-foot.
So I want to thank Susan Thornton for the donation and, of course, the challenge as well. She's also, her and Jamie Barassa are challenging all ice techs and those watching to support the Stu Sells Supports cause to bring more streaming as well, too. So we really appreciate the challenge and the support, Susan, and great to see you're watching.
Perfect.
And for the point, it's back to tie it up again. Wow, what a game. I'm going to continue to marvel at the shot making and the impressive play here at the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. We'll be right back after these short messages.
When I sweep with the Gold Line Fiber Light, I feel like I'm sweeping on TV.
That's life. More surface area, better results.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
You need to sweep for weight?
You need to sweep with this.
Now, every time I curl, people ask me, what are you sweeping with?
What are you sweeping with?
What are you sweeping with?
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
October is First Responders Month. Please help the helpers. I'd like to thank Patrick Morris for his support of the Stu Sells series. He's been a supporter from the beginning, and we really appreciate your support, Patrick. Thanks, and enjoy the coverage. And we're back here. Let me get that score updated here. 4-4 now, playing the 7th end. Team Froud with the advantage.
You know, Jerry, almost could predict it would be a tight game. Want to know why? Last straw of the night. Always,
go.
without fail. It seems like that's kind of the way it is. You're going to have a tight game when it starts getting late at night. It's again, we're in Waterloo, Ontario, so it's 11:40 at night.
It's been a day.
You guys have been busy out there. That's for sure. That's a
Great
long
crew's
day.
been on since 8 a.m. this morning. Really appreciate the work that they're doing. I'm lucky enough I can do this sitting on my couch in my office studio here.
It's amazing what technology can do now, too. The fact that you can have people off-site, on-site, but far away from actually the cameras, remote operating cameras. It really is amazing where we've gone to.
Yeah, we're looking for more opportunities to do this as well. I know we're looking at an event in the United States to support lupus and Let's Cure Lupus group that Regan Burr has put together. So we're working towards something there. And out west, there's a number of things coming up. And any events that are competitive like this that are interested in trying to bring streaming, let us know, because there's some interest. We can put this together from off-site. We just need some well-placed cameras in the right spots, and we can do this without much human interaction even, too, at the same time.
Since we're not allowed to have fans behind the glass, much easier to watch. Not to mention, you're getting an even better angle than you would if you were there in person at the club. Look at that
definitely.
overhead.
So Froud with the hammer here, trying to go around their corner guard.
This is an 8-end game, so we're 2 ends left. Bit of a rare miss. The first 2 rocks have been pretty well placed for the Froud team. A big opportunity here for the Jones team to get situated.
Well, that leads me to something I should have done earlier. I have not done any introductions of the players on the ice. So I'm going to lead into that with, I'm going to apologize that we didn't jump into this earlier, but we've got on the Froud team, Karen Rousel throwing lead stones. Kaylin Gregory is at second. Maddie Warner has stepped in as a spare this weekend, replacing, I can't remember the name right now, and I apologize, and Susan Froud at skip. And of course, Lisa Weigel is in the lineup for Team Jones. You have been watching Lisa out there the whole time. Jocelyn Peterman at second, with Caitlin Laws at third, and Jennifer Jones, the skip. Just been having such a great time chatting away with you, Danielle. It's always great to just get together.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's the way of the future get-togethers.
There's been some of those.
Well, hey, you know what? We haven't been able to sit together and chat and watch curling at the same time for a long while, so appreciate you bring me on here.
Well, I always enjoy listening to you talk about the game, Danielle. And it's great to see the opportunities you've had to commentate in the game as well. And, I hope to see more of that at the same time, too.
I thoroughly enjoy talking about curling. Or maybe teammates watching will be laughing because I just enjoy talking in general, I guess. But, but get me on one of my favorite subjects.
There you go.
Oh, well, here we saw Jones team getting caught in that straight spot and the rocks wide open. Team Froud looking for that hidden flop. like they clip the guard on the way by, push the red to the back. That'll be open.
Yeah, we didn't quite see how that made contact there, but yeah, certainly wasn't what she was looking for. And now Jones is going to take advantage of her double center guards up front and really put some pressure on Team Froud here. There is another guard. There we go. Thank you. Again, our producer, operator behind the scene are doing an absolutely brilliant job considering they are rookies today. This is their first day of curling shooting.
Kudos. It's a lot harder behind the scenes than anybody knows.
The real challenge a lot of times with shooting curling is that it can be a very repetitive sport. Right? The shots can all be built in, it's pretty standard, but then it gets repetitive because of that, right? So now it's the cuts and trying to give you different angles as much as possible and different looks at the game, and now it's exciting and it jazzes it up a little bit. Yeah, some great work there.
That was speaking of great work, great draw weight there. Still open. Again, that it's a straighter side, but in particular, it's straighter in those 4-foot lines. So there's a bit of error here for Team Froud. They choose to roll under. They might be going for the double here.
You'd love to get this right on the nose, I believe, and then you get the double and kind of stay in a spot where it's going to be a little tougher to make that roll back. Oh. No, I think the double was definitely there with the roll under as well.
Mm-hmm. You would have had to get pretty tight, so
yeah,
for sure the nose way would have been easier.
Still, this rock is in the rings here, and Jones has to deal with it. She cannot ignore it. It would be easier to play the draw around, but I think this is a inconsistency of early season curling call here.
That's important, especially in a tight game. Don't always need to make the fanciest shots. Just need to make those shots consistently. Exactly. And this is a beautifully executed shot. Looks like they might have got a piece tucked. If not, it's at least edge on edge.
Yeah, I think really well thrown there. Big shot by Caitlin.
Big one. Those hidden rolls can be the toughest because you have to hit the rock in the perfect spot and get it to stop in the perfect spot as well.
Now, as I look a little bit closer, maybe there's some concern that if Froud makes this hit and roll, can Jones access it?
Oh, that's a good point, Jerry. There are those two guards up there. Yeah, you know what? That could be a big trouble. They could look at coming around with the other term, but no one's really been playing that side, really.
Maddie Warner here with the hit and roll attempt. I'm pretty sure they're going for it here. Oh, just a little wiggle inside. Enough to take away the possibility of a re-roll?
I think so. They're looking at more edge on edge now.
And for Jones, she can't risk it. She's got to make the safe play here. Make sure she makes contact. A roll out here could be disastrous as the back yellow would come into play. And you would roll out from rubbing the front. Sorry, that was the reference there, I guess. You don't want to give up 3 here, that's for sure.
Absolutely not. Scoreboard management is key.
All right, so this is the first of 2 stones here from Jones. I'm fairly certain.
They got a roll, not quite as far as they would have liked. Talking about how far to roll, but they also have to watch it at the back.
Yeah, I think the perfect roll here probably jams on the back and removes that biter. And so that takes a little bit of risk out of Jones's next shot. You know, if you're Froud and you can roll to a point where, you know, you're edge to edge, maybe just get a hair under. It just makes that shot a little bit dicey. This is the
and
first
with hammer,
stone.
if they can get a really good roll, especially because Jennifer would have to be playing it on the straight side too. But here he comes. We'll see what happens.
Karen Rousel on the sweep. Oh. A little bit of clean here. And that may be absolutely perfect. As Maddie kicks it in the back. I believe they had both agreed that that stone was definitely in play in the rings. Maddie Warner just kind of kicked it a little bit as she backed out of the way on that last shot. But yeah, she hit that in the exact perfect spot so that the back rock didn't jam and she rolled as far as she could. Makes this a little bit of a teaser here for Jennifer. Again, she's got to make sure she gets by that top red. If she's to wreck on that top red, 3 comes into play here for Froud.
Well, if anybody knows how to make the pressure shots,
it's Jennifer.
We've got sweep to help curl. Looks like it's hanging. That's beautiful. Great shot.
Yeah, nice rock there. This makes the call simple for Team Froud. They're going to put the broom down, try and hit the 8-foot, and take a 1-point lead into the final end here. The classic curling battle scenario, I like to call it.
Yes, it is. Interesting to see where they take the broom here, Jerry.
This is your straight side, isn't it?
It is, but the 12-foot rings sort of along the edges of the 12-foot at the KW Granite have always been interesting. Found sometimes if you get outside of midway half 12, it can run straighter than you even anticipate. But Susan also knows how to get
a little bit of curl here.
Yeah, Susan also, if you get in there, it's a good spot. Plus, Susan also knows how to get her intern curling.
And there it goes into the good stuff. And Rousel brings it home. Single point here in the 7th end. Team Froud holds a 5-4 lead over Jennifer Jones. We're heading to 8. Can't wait.
Hey, fellow curling fans, it's Stu here from the Stu Sells series. Hey guys, welcome to the Stu Sells brand new listing, and we are in Liberty Village. So if you're a young executive and you want to have a great time and be close to your office, then you got to come here to Liberty Village. There's so much going on here. It's got great restaurants, great shops, bars, So much to do. You're close to the lake if you want to go down on the bike path and bike wherever you want. There's parks nearby, and it's a fun little area here in Liberty Village. It's really chic and it's hip, and this unit is spectacular. It is a 1-bedroom, perfect for a single person. It's got a large balcony. It goes the full length of the unit, and you can see the lake, and you can watch out at the whole Liberty Village because you're on the 16th floor. We have pool, gym, party rooms. This is like Club Med down here. So look, go to stusells.ca, look at all the pictures and videos, and then give me Stu a call, and I'll come and take you for a tour.
Oh, so much fun. I definitely want Stu selling my house.
Yes. He is the best.
We'd also like to thank some of these other great supporters here, the Stu Sells series. Of course, we had the announcement with the expanding of it. The Brantford Nissan Classic is adding to the Stu Sells series for the 2021-22 season. And when we look forward to COVID-free curling, hopefully, as we figure our way through this thing. Of course, Royal Bank, Keith Joel is an amazing supporter. Remax Hallmark. We've got Firehouse Subs and Patrick Morris. Goldline, Aaron Flowers, Andrew Brett, Pete Townsend, great supporters of the sport there. And, of course, Stu Sankey of Stu Sells Realty. Great team that helps bring and put this all together. So thanks, everyone. And here we go. 8th end. Team Froud up 1 without hammer coming home. What are you trying to do here, Danielle?
Team Froud, steal. At least go for it. And Team Jones going for their deuce, obviously. Yeah, you've got to play that end as if you're going to steal it, and then it would be the okay option is if you force into 1 and go into an extra.
Yeah, you got to be hyper aggressive out there. It's in the situation, it's steal or go home, and the steal is what leads to a lot of forces in this situation, where then you get to play the extra end with the hammer.
Yeah. And now you're seeing they're playing one of the best leads in the game. Lisa with her tick power and her precision.
They are going around the corner here. This strategy has a very high rate of success, because the challenge is now here for the team without hammer. Where do you go?
Well, apparently the answer to that one is right on the tee line.
And now the next team follows up with a double in the middle, because with 3 rocks in a row down the middle, there's only really one choice. You got to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so
I would be throwing the guard.
Yeah, but it leads to a very defined game plan here. They're gonna have to play the double peel. They're gonna try and play the run, and they're gonna play that run until they open the middle up. And then all of a sudden you've got that corner guard and the winger underneath it, and the deuce sort of flows out of that.
Looks like they're playing the hidden roll. They can see a piece behind the corner. It's playing that hidden roll to roll in behind.
And I think this is a good call, but it's a challenging call, because you do that, or you wreck on the guard, and the guard goes back into play. So now if you're Jennifer, you love this layout.
Mm-hmm. And well, the other thing that's challenging too about that, Jerry, we talked about, though the ice has some curl, it also is very weight sensitive. So you can see, looked like that was a little more weight than they were intending, and just didn't find any of that curl.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to run straight there, and that's not a very easy shot at all, because you can't hit the guard in that situation. So it's enticing, but you kind of got to go all in here.
So big opportunity here for Jocelyn to get this rock buried.
And they are going around the center guards, correct?
Yep. They can sit 1-2 after this shot.
Let this finish around that top 12 rock. Really nice throw there from Jocelyn Peterman.
A big scrub right out of the hand.
Yeah, again, gotta hold this. Real good shot.
What a great sweep, great shot. Beautiful.
Yeah, real strong team shot there. Those are the real rewarding ones, aren't they, Danielle?
They sure are. You know what? It really hits either end of the spectrum on that shot. You either make it really well or it's really horrible. You tick off that guard, it's horrible. You make it and it feels so good. And you could kind of see a bit of Jennifer's body language that she was looking a little not so happy that that shot was made.
That's the kind of thing. It's like so close to perfect. If you rub, it's a disaster. Right? You're so close to being so good.
Absolutely. There you can see that type of thing is the time when it can really bring up the team's morale when you make those kind of shots.
And for Froud, she can play this hit back again. Jennifer couldn't get any under. She really... Was that Caitlin still throwing there, I believe? Yeah. Made a real good shot to stick nose where she did.
And another big scrub.
Oh.
And the roll.
Another great shot.
And this is classic Team Froud, I'll say. That they will pull it together at certain moments and you'll be in a position where it's good. Like you saw the setup that Team Jones had, and all of a sudden they're making something fantastic. That just shoves the end away, or not shoves the end away, but makes it much more difficult than anticipated.
Yeah, from what I've seen out of Susan Froud's team and her in the past, this is not a surprise to me that this is a game.
But yeah, we're coming up against one of the greatest thirds in the game. Fantastic, clearing it out. Tough to get it all right then.
Yeah, that would be Caitlin Laws throwing third stones for Team Jones.
Looks like red may even be shot here. What's your prediction, Jerry?
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, they talked about playing that hidden roll on the red, but opting for the straw, which I think is the higher percentage shot.
I think at the same time, this just leaves a lot more room for error. Like if you were to go back 8 here, nothing wrong with that. Because now you're going to create a situation where you're going to have something to freeze to, and it's a rock in play that will entice them to come down. You know, they're going to have to make a draw in there. So now all of a sudden they're going to have to keep it high enough. And if they keep it too high, you're going to be able to draw around that. So it's a nice little stone to kind of pull the play deeper into the house.
And that was a big miss. The tolerance on that was definitely, as you mentioned, to be in the back, but also you could not clip the guard there. I think that's when it seemed like the Froud team might have been getting into more of a let's make it absolutely perfect mindset. And sometimes when you get into that, especially when you're playing such an inexperienced team like Team Jones, you just feel like you need to make every single shot perfectly. And the honest truth is you probably do for the most part, but you can't lose sight of the moments when it's okay to make a half shot or maybe a shot that's more 75% as opposed to 100.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what we saw there. Like, I think, when we look at behind the tee line as being a bad thing, there's a lot of times when it's good. Like, if you're the team without hammer and you're trying to get a force, dropping a stone on the back of the forefoot, back of the button is actually a good stone in a lot of cases, because now when they make a draw down, you can sit down in front of it and it's going to be real hard for them to score two. Whereas if you're the team with hammer, going all the way deep to the back 12 is an enticing stone because it creates other opportunities where, you're kind of creating reverse guards, I like to call them, where those rocks in the back don't hurt you like they would in front of the rings, and then create opportunities in the back for jams and angles and everything that help you that way too. Mm-hmm. Kevin Martin calls it the Donnie B special.
Speaking of opportunities, with the wreck on that guard on the center line, they were trying to come around the corner yellow. Big opportunity here for Froud to come around the guards. I mean, speaking of another straight place, that center line, especially if you start with majority of the rock over on the other side center, it definitely a little tricky on that straight side, and saw Caitlin get caught up in that. Looked like she had great weight though.
We want to thank all the wonderful people for watching at home who've made some donations. 2 Girls in a Game, we want to thank you for the donation as well. Love their podcast. They are such an entertaining, fun pair to listen talk about curling.
Well, the front of the house is getting quite junky. Look like we're going to have a team discussion. What would you be doing here, Jerry?
Let me survey the situation. So now your Team Jones, you're lying. Are you shot stone over there on the side, right?
We'll go with yes.
For sure.
We'll make that assumption.
I know from the shots as they lied, I heard from inside the clubhouse there that red was shot and has been shot for the end. So I did miss the last shot, so as long as it didn't change. I think if you're Jones, you want to try and get something in there.
It's a fine balance between getting something in there and also making sure you have a half decent shot for your last. I mean, they're still going for 2, but
the shot I love here is the short angle run red onto yellow. It opens that draw side for you. If you stick it there, you end up with a rock that if they draw around that pile, you can run it in with a short run yourself. You could stuff it and you could kind of roll it underneath and block the middle. There's a lot of different options with that short run back that then gives you a little bit more freedom to get your 2.
It looks like they're going for the hit.
Yeah, they're going through the port here. This is the, you'd say the easier shot. But I think there's going to be options for Froud after this.
Ooh. More options just opened up with that wick. I mean, if we're operating under the assumption that red is shot, she's got to do something with the yellow to make sure they get shot.
And of
but
course,
at the same time, you have to be careful not to leave that double. because then that would be a double for the win. And it looks like they're talking about splitting it there.
Yeah, you'd love to hit about a quarter of this so the shooter goes deeper than the rock that you hit.
This is one of those moments, too, that may seem, I won't say straightforward because no pressure shot is straightforward, but there's the added pressure that you can't have the two sweepers at it, so one going at one going at the other. So it brings in a whole different dynamic. But all we know right now is that yellow needs to move. And it's Team Jones with shot rock.
So this is the last stone here for Froud. Jones with one to come. You agree with that?
Yep.
Good.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is going to cross the face here. They just get a rub and roll in. Oh, this is going to be an intriguing moment to come here.
It is, especially wondering who shot there, or whose second shot.
That might be too tight to the guard to be made.
Good point. Have to see from.
Yeah, if you kind of catch the center line there, the center line doesn't leave a lot of room. Probably would have to throw it with like hack weight. Still hope for a hair curl by.
Yeah, and this is where that decision to play that hit and not move.
Yeah.
Some rocks at the front. This is where it bites you if you miss the shot like the rub they have, and now you're looking at a very crowded house. And I mean.
Yeah, I think if there is one fault of Jones right now in her game, it's this. She's such a good aggressive player that she's kind of getting caught by the 5-rock rule a little bit in this situation.
Well,
her aggression that normally works well is now getting countered with opponent's aggression.
Well, and what works well for her is that she makes a ton of shots. So if she's making those shots, it's perfect. But if you miss it, like we see here, now you're in trouble. And like right now, she's in deep to even score. Because there's not a great way to get to the 4-foot based on the makeup of where the rocks are. And looks like she's even talking about a hidden roll or an in-off.
So we do have an update. Yellow is 1-3 right now. So the yellow rock, top of the 4, is the counting shot. Red is second shot still.
It's looking like she's not confident that they can find a way into the 4-foot, and they're looking at that in-off situation.
Well, I've seen it made before.
See there, good look at the angle.
Yeah, I'm just watching what Caitlin is sweeping up here.
That's her usual.
Yeah, they're going to cross the face with probably like a hack weight and try and make this double. All right, here we go. Big moment for a big shooter. This is certainly not a very easy shot. Last stone here, 8th end. Jones looking for the double. Sweeper's back. Oh, she's going for the slash. Oh, just not enough. It'll be a steal of 2 for Susan Froud, and they will win this game 7-4. Wow, Danielle, what a game. What a result for Team Froud.
That was quite a game. we've been treated to some great shot making all night. And honestly, congratulations to Team Froud for pulling off that victory. It was a very well fought battle.
So Froud 0-2 coming into this game. Jones 2-0. They both add a single to their scorecard. Jones 2-1 now, and Froud getting her first win to sit at 1-2 and stay alive for the playoff round here. Danielle, I'd like to really thank you for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure to talk curling with you and enjoy having these chats with a game to sit back and enjoy.
Well, I appreciate you having me join, Jerry. I really enjoyed myself tonight, so thank you very much.
So thanks again to all our sponsors for the Stu Sells series, Brantford Nissan. We've got Royal Bank, Remax Hallmark, Firehouse Subs, Gold Line, and Stu Sells Realty. Thanks again for tuning in this evening. We will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., bright and early. We'll set this up. I'm going to set all the alarms I can find, so I'm ready to go for the morning. Thanks again for tuning in, and until then, everyone take care.
No matter what speed you're comfortable with, the G50 line has a shoe for you.
That's comfortable and stylish.
When it was time to get his first pair of curling shoes, we went with Goal Line. Now it's time for the G50.
Looks great, but it grips better than anything.
Man, this is a light curling shoe.
These remind me of why I like to play the game.
This is actually the most comfortable curling shoe I have ever owned. It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Hey guys, welcome to the Stu Sells brand new listing, and we are in Liberty Village. So if you're a young executive and you want to have a great time and be close to your office, then you got to come here to Liberty Village. There's so much going on here. It's got great restaurants, great shops, bars, so much to do. You're close to the lake if you want to go down on the bike path and bike wherever you want. There's parks nearby, and it's a fun little area here in Liberty Village. It's really chic and it's hip, and this unit is spectacular. It is a 1-bedroom, perfect for a single person. It's got a large balcony. It goes the full length of the unit, and you can see the lake, and you can watch out at the whole Liberty Village because you're on the 16th floor. We have pool, gym, party rooms. This is like Club Med down here. So look, go to stusells.ca, look at all the pictures and videos, and then give me Stu a call, and I'll come and take you for a tour.